Hey you guys, happy Tuesday. I know I'm out of commission right now, just taking some time to spend time in God's presence. And I want to just inform you guys that this has been the roughest 18 days of my life. Okay. There has been so many things trying to work within me and get me to give up, get me to turn away from the things that God has called me to. But because of God's grace and because of his favor, I am still here by the grace of God. So if you don't already know, I do want to let you guys know that YouTube will have the Bible study available at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday, which is tomorrow. For Bible study, it was already pre-recorded on the 31st of May so that you guys can go ahead and listen to it. I really hope you enjoy this message because it blessed me, and I really pray that it blesses you. So I hope that you tune into it, and I have some things already scheduled out. So if you see me posting that wasn't actually me on here, I scheduled some things out in advance to just continue to be in communication with you guys. And I do check it every now and then, but I've been trying to not like get on here. But today it was very much what's necessary. So I just want to come to you and let you know something that has happened to me today. And I don't know what you're going through, but I know where I stand. I know where I am. And today I was having a tough time. It took me a lot to just not be like, okay, God, I give up. I'm not understanding. I forget this. And one thing that I can say is that I was very transparent with God about how I feel. And I was open with him. And you guys may hear the raindrops because I'm sitting outside of my porch because my son is in the house and he's running rapid. Okay. But I was just all day just praying. I kept saying like, Lord, you said this and I'm not understanding, but this happened, and you said this, but that happened, and all these things. And I said, I don't, it's not that I don't believe, like I really do believe, but I'm trying to make sure I understand, trying to make sure I'm hearing you correctly and that I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. But I kind of got frustrated because I'm just like, Lord, why does it feel like I'm all of a sudden confused and all of this? And I remember I said, you're not the author of confusion. So that lets me know that somebody else has their hand in everything that you're telling me. And so obviously we know who that person is. It's the enemy. He comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And so when you start questioning and start wondering and start being confused about what God spoke, you got to know where that comes from, because God is not the author of confusion. And I also started to like overthink. I started to just question everything that I knew for a fact that God had shown me. And so, I was just, praying, talking to God, going to pick up this stuff from the store. And in that moment, it was revealed what was going on. So I ended up going to this store that I haven't been in a while. Well, it's a Target store. You guys know I love Target. Well, if you didn't know, you know now. But I love Target. But I typically go, there's like a bunch of them closer to me. And I haven't been to this particular one in a long time, but this one was the only one that had what I needed. So I ended up putting my order in at this store. And so I get to the store, and obviously I'm like really early because it takes them about 2 hours at minimum to fill the order. So I get there probably like, it took me like less time than I thought because it's later and I thought traffic was going to be bad, but I ended up getting there within like 30. So I ended up sitting, waiting. But I remember when I pulled in, now mind you guys, the name of the store is very relevant. Okay. Target. We all know what a Target is, right? So keep that in mind. So I go to the store, I pull in, I'm getting ready to go to the pickup area because I did a pickup order because I was like, I don't feel like getting out. I spent all day running errands, doing things that I needed to do. And I kind of was overwhelmed because it was literally an all day thing. Like I was out all day trying to pay bills, trying to do everything I needed to do, like just everything. It took longer than expected, like all day. And so I was like, I'm not doing none of that today. I'm going to put in a pickup order. And then when I tell you guys, there has been so many things going on with my finances, so many things with like, I found out my debit card got canceled. So I was riding yesterday, and this is kind of like obviously important because I wasn't planning on saying this, but I tried to go get gas yesterday, and I found out that my bank had suspended my account because they were thinking it was fraud. But I'm like, nobody called me, nobody sent me a letter, nobody did anything. You guys just suspended my account, and I was trying to pay my rent and it said suspected fraud. And so I was like, well, maybe it's a new system, maybe something's going on. But no. And then I was literally riding behind E on fumes, trying to get to the gas station, because I was like, the night before, I was like, okay, it's dark. I don't go to the gas station at nighttime. And so I said, I'll just get gas in the morning. So the morning come, Monday morning, I go to the gas station. I literally had 7 miles to, empty. And so I get to the gas station and my car's not working. And then it's saying the same thing, suspected fraud. So I'm like, what in the world is going on? So I call my bank. They end up saying like, oh, we canceled the car. We can send you another one. So I'm like, well, no, I need it right now. Like, I'm trying to get gas. I'm just going to go to the bank and they can print one. So the guy's like, well, no, they're not going to print you one in store because, we're kind of doing away with that. We're only sending them through mail. He was like, but maybe, if you go in and you ask for a manager, they'll honor it. Da-da-da. Long story short, I get there. They did not honor it. So I still don't have a debit card. Then I was trying to pay my bills. Obviously, one of my bills I couldn't pay through my bank account because it's saying that I didn't set up to have EFT draft. Like, you guys, when I tell you, it has been one thing after another, but God is gracious and God is very good. And so now I know, like I said, today I was just kind of frustrated because I'm just like, what is going on? Like, all these things. And I remember telling a bunch of people, just like, it's like when you get over that one thing, there's something else on the other side of that, and it's not a reward. It's another hurdle you got to get over. So as soon as I got one thing figured out, and then there was an issue. I had an issue with my electricity bill, and I'm not ashamed to say it because I couldn't figure out how to come up with the money for that. That ended up being a big thing, and then trying to pay for it. Like, it was just a lot of things. But God is good. Let me tell you, God is good. He will send people to help you, and I'm very grateful and thankful for each and every person that has helped me through this. Even when I was too prideful to ask, look, I'm about to get teary-eyed, like too prideful to ask, because I've been in a place where I've asked for help and people act like they have your best interest at heart. And when it's time for them to actually show up for you, they don't, they ghost you. They don't come through nothing. They'll say what they're going to do. And then when it's time to actually stand on it, they don't. And my intentions are always pure. I always try to continue to be that person because you never know how God's going to use you to bless somebody and what somebody may need. It may not be monetary. It may just be encouraging or anything. You never know how God is going to use you in somebody else's life. So my number one thing that I try to always do is be genuine and walk with integrity. And so I hate to be a person that always has to ask for help and then it backfires on me just because I reached out for help. People make you feel like, and being real, my family is big for that. They make you feel bad about needing help. And so I developed this process over time where it's just like, okay, asking for help is wrong. And so I had just been seeing signs lately, and God was just like, I thought he was saying like ask him for help, but he had sent the help to me. But I was just like, okay, Lord, I'm gonna keep praying. And anyways, God showed up that same day in the nick of time to help me get everything I need to get done. And then that Monday, like I said, I got my funds, but then my car was closed due to suspected fraud, but there was not one phone call. Then when I got to the branch, the guy's like, oh, we have the wrong address on file. And I said, well, that's funny. How do you guys have the wrong address when I've gotten mail from this bank to my new address? And mind you, I'm still in the same apartments. It's just in a different apartment number. So the address they had was from like 2 apartments ago. And so when I kept saying like, what is going on? What is going on? And so anyways, like I said, it's just been a time. So today was just like the cherry on top. Okay. So I get to the store. I go to Target. Like I said, I'm telling you the name of the store for a reason. Target. Understand what a target is. When you have a target on your back, you're a target. You're the pinpoint. You're the person that the other person is trying to get. You're the target. And so, or, you're trying to hit a target. Like, just think about it in that way, in that sense, right? So I get to the store and I'm pulling into the pickup area to pick up what I need. And so as soon as I pull in, you guys, there's this all black car. And there's a picture painted on this all black car. Like, first I seen the flowers. There was like pink little petals. It reminded me of Japanese cherry blossom, right? And so they had those little flowers there. And I was admiring those at first. And then I looked and I was like, oh, So it was the flowers. And then in the middle of the flowers, it literally had a big, like, devil's head. Like, literally when you see it, like, oh, that's the enemy. Like, horns, red, just demonic. And, like, the expression on his face was like a laughing expression. Like, whatever, like if you catch somebody, take a picture of somebody and they're laughing, like that's what it was. And so he was planted in the middle of this Japanese cherry blossom. And so I was just like, I looked at the car and I was like, well, why would somebody put that on their car? Like, who would want that? Like, who would ride around knowingly? But I'm like, at the end of the day, you have people that really support the enemy for real, and they don't care about it. And just like the enemy doesn't care, he hides in plain sight. And that's what I was thinking about when I saw that. I'm like, oh, at first, all I saw was the flowers. But as the car kept turning around the corner, I noticed this big old red-headed horn thing. I said, oh, because that's the enemy. And God was letting me know, this is why you're feeling the way you're feeling. This is why all these attacks are coming, because the enemy is seeking after you. You're his target because he wants you to give up. He wants you to surrender. He wants you to leave empty-handed. And so moving right along, I sit down. At that time, I didn't figure it out because I just kept saying, why would somebody want that painted on their cars? But I know God was painting a picture for me. Like, this is what's going on. He's hiding in plain sight. You're trying to figure out why you confused. You're trying to figure out why you thinking I said this and I said that and da-da-da. You can't hear me clearly. You're thinking this. You're thinking that. You're feeling this. You're trying to figure out where it's coming from. And I'm giving you a picture of why. The enemy is in the details. He's hiding in plain sight. He's trying to confuse you. He's trying to get you deterred off your post. Like, he's trying to do all these things, right? And so moving right along, I told my son, I said, okay, after we get our food, we're gonna go and go and get ice cream. And so I didn't realize there was a Culver's right around the corner from the Target that I was going to. But I don't know, my spirit was just like, no, go to the one that you said you was going to go to, the one closer to your house. And so I was like, okay, I don't know where that comes from, but okay. And then I saw when I pulled up, I was like, okay, maybe I'm going to turn. And I was like, well, no, I don't feel led to go here. So I was like, I'm going to just go to the one I said I was going to go to, the one that's closer to my house. And so I'm like, neither one of them is out of the way because they're both on my way to my house. This one is just kind of further away. The other one is literally a few, miles around the corner versus the one being all the way away from the house. And so we get to the place or whatever, we order our food, we're sitting down, we're eating. And so there's this lady, you guys, and she comes out of the bathroom. I immediately notice her because, for one, I'm always trying to be aware of my surroundings, especially when I have my son, because I've had so many encounters. If y'all hear Marshall, please don't mind him. But I've had so many encounters of attacks while I've been out. And literally shopping at Target. That's why I don't really go in Target. I do my pickup order, especially when I have him. If I'm by myself, then that's another story because I can better defend for myself. But when I have him, I am on high alert. And so, like I said, my spirit was just uneasy because I was just like, well, what is going on? Like, why do I need to go to this specific location? And so I get there, we sitting down eating our food. I'm full, so I'm like, okay, we getting ready to go. So we're just sitting there. You know how you eat and you just sit, like, I'm a slow eater. So I sit and I let my food digest. My son, please, he was done in 2 gulps and then still talking about he wanted more food. His stomach sitting over his belt or over his pants. Like, wait. So I noticed this lady come out the bathroom and I'm like, okay, I don't know where she came from. I didn't see her come through the door. I didn't see her when we first walked in there. So I'm like, okay, I don't even know where this lady came from, but regardless of the fact, I notice you now. So she comes out of the bathroom and she's talking. And I'm like, well, who's she talking to? Or whatever. And she has on these shades. She has on this mask. So you see her, but you can't identify her face. Like, you can't really identify her. And so I'm just like, okay. Like I said, it was kind of unusual. So I was like, okay, whatever. Back to minding my business because this ain't got nothing to do with me. So, mind you guys, this is a big restaurant. If you ever been to Culver's, there's a lot of stuff. And then mind you, there wasn't a lot of people in there. There was plenty of seats. And the crazy thing about it is too, I was contemplating changing my seats to another seat, but I didn't because I was like, well, the food's here. I'm just going to sit right here. And so I was like, after everything happened, I was like, oh, I probably should have changed my seat and moved closer to the door. But anyway, so the lady comes, she walks all the way around to the beverage station that's behind us. And there's a row of high seats behind us. So anybody behind me, I'm noticing, especially this lady, because like I said, I felt kind of sketchy when I saw her. So the lady walks behind me. She sits down in the corner and she's facing like my way, but she's behind my back. So I'm looking straight ahead at my son that's in front of me to my left. And I'm watching her on my right because I'm like, of all the seats that you could have chose, you literally mean to tell me you had to come over here and sit behind us when you passed a whole 100 seats to get in here? Like, there's no way. So I'm sitting there at the table. Like I said, at this point, I'm like uneasy about it. Something was just like, it's time to go. Like, you need to get up and leave. So this lady is sitting in the corner, and I'm looking at her, watching my son. So I look at her out the corner of my eye, and so I see her shaking her head, yes, yes, and I see her mouthing the words, her, and I see her saying yes, yes, like shaking her head, yes, 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 up and down, like nodding. And so I'm thinking to myself, well, who is she talking about? Because again, I saw her talking when she came out of the bathroom, but there was nobody with her. She wasn't on the phone, nothing. So you guys, I'm already like, all right, cool. Something ain't right, because who is this lady talking? So I'm looking around in the left, not moving my head, but moving my eyes. I'm like, okay, well, maybe she's talking to somebody across the room. But I'm like, no, that's crazy, because if she was here with somebody, she would literally be sitting with them, right? So I'm looking around, nobody's talking to her. She's literally just sitting there, but you can see she's having an interaction with something, some kind of presence. I don't know, okay? So she's literally like, her, her, and she's shaking her head, yes. I'm like, okay, cool. I can see what kind of time we on. And so, at this point, I tell my son, I'm like, are you finished? Are you done? And I was like, I'm full. Let him know, like, okay, listen, we're about to go, And so as I say that, this lady looks at my son. Like I said, if I see this lady again today, I will only be able to recognize her if she on the same clothes. You could not see this lady's face, nothing. So she's looking at my son. She asked my son, she said, well, do you love your mama? And so my son ignored her. And so I looked over again. I'm not making eye contact with her because I'm like, something sketchy. So I'm looking at her at the corner of my eye. And then, like, when she asked my son, like, do you love your mom? She goes and she starts reaching in her back pocket. So in this moment, I'm like, oh, okay, so this is what we doing. Like, you finna try something. So I'm thinking, I don't think she had a gun or anything. I believe she had like a knife or something. And so she kept like trying to get it out of her pocket. But the way she was sitting, like, I guess she couldn't like easily grab it. So she kept like digging. And then so my son ignored her. And then he looked at me. I'm looking at him because I'm like, listen, we giving each other that out. Like, we're about to go. I need you to be ready to know that we're about to leave out of here. And so literally the lady asked him again. She said, hey, do you love your mama? And so my son was like, yeah. And I looked at Noah. I was like, like, don't engage. Don't. And so, because I kept thinking to myself, do he love me? Like, what are you talking about? Like, you don't know my son. You don't even know that this is my son. How do you know me? And so I'm like, obviously she could have just took a wild guess, like, oh, a lady in here with a child, that's his mother. But I'm just like, the question that you're asking, the way you're like hostilely asking it, and as you're asking him, you're looking, I don't know where you're looking because I can't see your eyes, and you're reaching in your back pocket. You don't know I'm looking at you, but I'm looking at you at the corner of my eye because, like I said, when I'm out with my son, my peripheral is on 10,000 because what are you doing? And so I'm getting defensive. But anyway, so the lady, like, she literally asked him again. So at the third time she said, like, do you love your mama? Like, that's how she said it, like, in like a snarky way, like, oh, you love her because, this is about to go down or something like that. And so, like I said, the whole time I'm just sitting there, I'm like, what in the world? And so I hear something literally say, get up. Like, so the third time she said it, I got up, I started gathering our stuff, but I kept hearing like caution, like take precaution. And it's crazy because even when I was on my way there, I kept seeing like caution on my way there. And I'm just like, caution, what caution? And so I was just like, okay. And so I'm like, well, this lady, you can't move too fast because you never know what somebody is plotting in their head. You never know what the enemy's telling them. You never know. And I, for one, just off a background for people that may be thinking like, oh girl, I know what I'm talking about. At the end of the day, I've dealt with this too many times. And in my own family, I tell you guys a lot of times, my mom, I don't speak about my mom a lot, but my mom suffers from schizophrenia, bipolar, everything you can think of. And she's the same way. You have to watch her because when the enemy's talking to her and trying to get her to do things, she's very violent, and it can happen in a quick, sudden moment. So if you're not paying attention, something can literally happen and you may not be able to recover from it. So I guess I'm just always aware of my consciousness around people like that, because it's just like, you never know what the voices in their head, or you never know what a person's gonna do. And so in that moment, when I look over and you're asking my son, do you love your mom, and you're reaching in your back pocket struggling to pull something out, I know what the intent is. Again, I've seen it live action. My mom did the same thing to my grandmother. Fortunately, for the sake of God and grace, she was not harmed and she did not die, but my mom did violently. I don't know. It just is what it is. Violence is always a key thing. So this lady don't know me, never seen me, but her mind tell her, oh, go stab that person. People will do it. So you have to be cautious when you're around people that make you like get defensive and tense up. Like you never know what somebody's plotting against you. And so anyway, so like I said, the third time I heard her, I was like, okay, yep. I got up slowly and I started asking him, I'm like, you done eating? So I'm packing up the tray. I'm still letting him sit. I'm standing in the middle of him and I'm facing the point where I can literally like see the door. But I'm also looking at her at the corner of my eye. And so she's sitting there and I could tell, like I said, I couldn't see her eyes, but I know she was watching me the whole time. Her eyes were watching me the whole time. And so it's like, if I would have made a wrong move and she would have grabbed that knife, she would have literally tried to stab me. Okay. And so as I get up, I go to prepare everything, packing everything up, and I wasn't even done eating my food, but I'm like, I'm not finna sit here and wait for something to happen. Like I don't feel easy about it. I'm getting ready to get up. I got my son here. Like I said, if it was just me, then hey, what's up? But you know, you don't even want to play because you never know what somebody is battling, and you don't even want to go there. And that's why what I want, I know this is kind of weird, but what I want to say is that it's important to cover yourself when you leave your home. I try my best, and I said this a million times, to plead Psalms 91:11 over me, my son, and our vehicle, our home, while we're away, because you never know who the enemy is sending out to get you. You never know who is lurking and waiting for you to do the wrong thing. I'm telling you, it's nobody but the grace of God that lady did not pull out that knife in the matter when she thought she was going to put it out. And I could see she was getting frustrated and getting agitated because she was trying to take the knife out of her pocket and couldn't. She couldn't succeed because she was sitting on it. That's nobody but God's grace and love. You got to know that when the enemy tries to attack you from behind and he's hiding in plain sight and you're trying to figure out what's going on, you got to stay prepared. Pray before you go to these stores. Pray before you leave your house. Pray over your kids, your grandkids, your family, your friends. Pray over the people that may encounter the attacks of the enemy, that they will not prosper, because I just know that obviously whatever would happen would have been God's will, but you have to stay armored up. You have to have on a full body of armor and trust that you are safe regardless of what is going on in this world, regardless of what it looks like. And do not be afraid, but proceed with caution. Please proceed with caution. Don't move hastily. Because in my first mind, I wanted to be like, girl, wait, why did you ask my son, do he love his mama? You're da-da-da. And I was just like, girl, you don't need to act like that no more. Like, chill. I mean, if I need to go there, I will. Don't get me wrong. But I'm like, in this moment, I just kept hearing caution, caution. And I'm like, okay. And so, like I said, I'm watching her as she's literally watching me. I'm telling you, this lady probably never took her eyes off me. And I couldn't see her eyes. That's what kind of like how dark the shades were. And they were big. Like I said, the shades would cover her whole face practically. And then she had on a mask. So it's like, this person didn't want to be identified. Anything. I'm like, and I don't know what she was battling. I don't know. And I wasn't finna stick around and see. And so as I got up, literally, you guys, as soon as I got up, I saw her pull, looked like a little knife or something out of her pocket, and she waved like, bye. And I was like, nah. And so I told my son, obviously I let my son go before me. And then I went and we left, and I got in the car and I just started praying and saying, thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. Thank you. You got to know and discern the voice of God. You got to know that when something in your spirit tells you to get up and go, you go. When he tells you to proceed with precautions, take those precautions. And if he says don't go to a specific location, go here, do it. You never know. And the funniest thing, the reason I didn't go to the other store is because I don't know. I felt like I just felt like something was going to go wrong. Like, I don't know. I was just like, nah, I'm going to just keep going and go to the one I originally said I was going to go to. And even in that, there was an attack waiting for me on the other side. But because I had already knew and I was praying on my way there, and I prayed every time we leave the house, anytime we step outside this door, I'm praying that the Lord cover us when we're leaving. I'm praying that he's covering our home as we're gone. He's covering our footsteps on the place that we plant our feet, because you never know what the enemy has waiting for you on the other side. You are a threat to the enemy, and he does not hide that. So I know this was a bit windy, and I really just pray that you really take it serious, because you never know. Innocent people die every day. I literally remember seeing a Uber driver who picked up a lady and killed her. And then when they asked him, like, well, why this lady? Why'd you target her? Keyword, target. Why was she your target? Did you know her? He said, no. And they said, well, why'd you do it? Like, he literally shot this lady and stabbed her a bunch of times. It happened, I want to say either this year or no, it happened like last year. And I was reading the article and they asked him like, well, why did you do it? And he's like, oh, something told me to. She was the one who was chosen. And when you hear stuff like that, you got to know that's the voices in his head, those dark spirits. Those things are real, you guys. And I really hope you take it serious, because there's things waiting outside for you to mess up, for you to forget to pray, for you to not cover yourself. Obviously, God is going to cover us as well, but you don't even want to get wounded in that moment. And all I kept doing, and then, thank you, Holy Spirit. When I realized what was going on, I started praying in my heart. Like, I literally started pleading Psalms 91. I said, Lord, cover us, keep us safe. I don't know what this lady is plotting. I can't see a weapon at this moment, but I feel it very heavily that she has something she's trying to pull out. Lord, keep us safe. May no weapon formed against us shall prosper. Let us get back home safely, as I prayed before we left. Like, you got to start praying and believing, because you never know what somebody is intending for your evil today. We're living in dark times. People do things because of the enemy. Man, let me tell y'all something. Hiding in plain sight. Had I would have just brushed it off and kikied and cock out with this lady, I could have potentially been wounded, scarred, or whatever. You got to take the precautions that God gives you, the signs, seriously, because you do not know what the enemy has planted on the other side for you. Well, you do know. He comes to steal, kill, and destroy, and he's going to do that at any means necessary by anyone he wants to use. Be careful who you're answering to. Be careful who you're talking to. Be careful what you're saying, where you're going, because will give them a door to be waiting for you at the places you're going. So I just wanted to come on here and just give you guys a 911 call to take this very seriously, because whatever it is, obviously you got to remember that the enemy ain't going to rob an empty house. So if he's targeting you and you're going through warfare, through hell and high water, you got to know you're full of something that he wants to take. Do not let him in. Do not let fear creep in. In that moment, I could have decided, okay, am I going to be scared? I'm like, nah, bro, I got my son here. You're not finna do anything to me. I gotta let God fight my battles. Because had I would have rose up and be like, girl, what you asking my son do? Because that's what I want to do. Because I'm like, what she mean? Do you love your mama? And like, you guys, if you could have heard the tone, the tone was like snarky, like arrogant, like the tone was just a bunch of different things. And I was just like, oh, nah. I could hear it in her tone, like she had a plan out for me, and I was the target. And like I said, when she first sat down and she kept shaking her head, yes, saying her, I'm like, who is this lady talking to? There's nobody sitting here. But when I'm like, oh, you making sure I'm the one that you're targeting. And when she nodded her head, yes, I'm like, yeah. But the Lord had already warned me about that when I went to Target and saw that black car with the face of the devil on it. And some of you might not take this serious, and that's okay. I pray that you do, though. So that's all I want to say. I just want to come off a vacation. That ain't really a vacation. And tell y'all to take it serious. Pray over yourselves before you leave your homes, before you go into that store. You know how many innocent lives are being taken by just trying to go grocery shopping? How many car accidents kill people? I've come too close and too far to let the enemy take me out. You've come too far, too close to let the enemy take you out. So cover yourselves, your loved ones, cover everybody. But most importantly, cover yourself. Don't just get up and start your day like you don't need God's covering. And cover yourself in the full armor of God. Speak wisely. Start asking questions, getting curious. Like I said, I was curious, and I'm like, Lord, what's going on? Like, it's not that I don't believe. It's not that this, it's not that that. This is just what's happening. And literally in the moment when I was praying that on my way to Target, I got to Target, the pinpoint, the location, and I got my answer. This is why you're going through this. Because the enemy is trying to get you. Literally. Y'all can take it lightly if you want to. Kill, steal, and destroy. That's biblical. Not lightly on kill, because that's what he does. He will do and cause anything around you that can kill you. Stress can kill you. An accident can kill you. Me being stabbed in the wrong spot can kill me. So please cover yourselves and take it seriously. So I just want to give y'all that emergency call, because I don't know who needed to hear it, but I know I needed it. And I just was thinking, like, my baby, like, you just never know. Had I would have sat there a minute later And like I said, as soon as I walked away, as soon as I got up to walk away, this lady pulled it out and literally waved at me saying, bye. She didn't try to hide the weapon or nothing. She made it very clear what her intentions was for me. Not really her, the enemy. Stop letting him play with y'all. Don't let him play with you. Don't sit. If you feel uneasy about something, get up and go. Like, seriously, because your life is nothing to play around with. So, I just wanted you guys to be on your P's and Q's, dot your T's. I'm talking about dot your T's. See, dot your I's and cross your T's. Make sure you're praying before you're leaving your house. Make sure you're praying when you wake up, even at your home, because sometimes, like I said, I went here to get food and the enemy was on the other side waiting for me. I'm just trying to eat, bro. Starved. Literally still got my whole burger in the kitchen. I gotta enjoy my food at home. And I'm not saying that you gotta live at home because you don't have to live in fear, but when you go out, cover yourselves, please. That's it. That's all. Don't forget, Bible study is tomorrow. I will talk to you guys again on July 1st. Bye. One thing I did forget to mention is also that this lady also not only was her face covered with these huge shades and this black mask, but she also had on this hoodie, like a big old hoodie. So like I said, me, if I were to see this lady out in the street again, I would not be able to recognize her because from when I don't know her, and she was very covered up, like kind of like camouflage. Like I'm pretty sure if somebody really knew her and she called her name out, they wouldn't have recognized her. That's how covered she was, okay? And you just kind of know that it's literally by the grace of God that she didn't pull out the little knife she had or whatever in the minute that she thought she was going to. She struggled with it for a while. You know how, like, you sit down, and I used to do this when I was in middle school. Like, if I sat there, like, if I wear some jeans, like, she had on jeans and whatever she had was in her back pocket, and it was in her right back pocket, and she was trying to grab it out, but she was sitting on it, so she kept like scooting down slightly, and she kept watching the room, there was a guy in front of me, and it was two guys in front of me, but they were like a distance away. So if she had pulled this weapon out, the little spear or knife or whatever she had, if she would have pulled it out at the right time, literally how close she was to me, it just would have been, like, the damage would have been done. Whatever the damage would have been, it would have been done. They obviously would have came in afterwards, but she was closer to me than they were to me, if that makes sense. So she scoped everything out. And also what I forgot to mention is when she came out of the bathroom, I told you guys she was talking, but when she was talking, she was looking directly at me. And so I was confused because I'm like, well, who is she talking to? Because I don't know this lady. And I'm thinking, like nowadays they got the headphones. So I'm thinking, well, maybe she got on the headphones, but no, she didn't have no headphones, no phone, no nothing. It was literally just her coming straight in the bathroom. I noticed her. She looked at me. Her mouth was moving. And I'm looking around because I'm like, well, maybe it's somebody sitting behind me and I don't know. But no, there was nobody behind me. She was literally talking, I guess maybe about me the whole time. I don't know what it was. But she was talking. And when she was talking, she was looking directly at me. She walked all the way around and took a seat. So anyways, I just wanted to make that clear because I forgot to mention that because that's important. She scoped out the area before she sat down. This lady knew exactly what she was sent to do, okay? And I'm like I said, I keep saying not her because you got to realize raging war, like CeCe Winans say, I'm tired of these principalities. These things are real. If you sitting at home thinking that the devil ain't real and his people, his little minions ain't real, just like heaven has angels, so does the dark kingdom. And they're not angels. They're fallen angels, technically. Dark spirits, demons, these things are real. They lurk out prowling. You got to know this stuff is real. And you never know. Like I said, I'm not coming against this lady. I'm coming up against what was using her, which is the devil. But what I really came back on here to say was, like I said, I told you guys the car that I seen at Target was black, right? And this lady had on black mask, black shades, black jacket. And then I forgot when we left out of the store, as soon as it was raining for one. So I hurried up, got my son in the car, sit in the car. I'm praying like, Lord, thank you for sparing us. Like, thank you for, helping me get out of that. Noah, stop. So go lay down. Go watch TV and be quiet. Now you hear me, they gonna recording. Go sit down. Go in your room.
I want dressing.
What?
I want dress.
I don't know where your drink at. Go find your cup in your room.
No.
Well, go get it. Jesus. But when we got in the car, I was just praying and thanking the Lord, saying, thank you for sparing us. Literally, as I got ready to pull out, going to get on the expressway to go home, there was a black car that almost hit me head on from the side. And then they didn't even stop. I had the right of way, and by the grace of God, I stopped because I was paying attention. They just kept going. Had I would have still put my foot on the gas, we would have been colliding with each other, and that would have ended bad because, like I said, it was raining. So you can take this call lightly if you want to. The enemy said, oh, well, I couldn't get you this way. Don't worry, I'm coming after you. And like I said, you got to notice the colors: black, darkness. Do not give in to his tactics. Pray. Cover yourselves, please. If you don't hear nothing else, forget everything else. Cover yourselves, please. Because you never know. Like, I just pray you take it serious, because I really took it serious. Like I said, now when I think about it, I'm like, I should have just changed plans. Like, be okay with God changing your place. If he tell you to go to another location, then go. I should have just went to the one that was closer to Target. But I didn't. I was like, well, no, I'm going to go to the one that's closer to home, because that one closer to home. But like I said, neither one of them was out of the way. They was both on my way home. But because this one was close, I said, well, let me go here. So be obedient, be able to hear. And if God tell you don't go to a certain place, don't go. God tell you don't go to that event, stay home. Don't live in fear. I'm not saying isolate yourselves, but just be precautious. Like, take caution. So that's it for real this time. Bye.